Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining. I'm Gabrielle Chwazik-Gee, the Digital Marketing Manager at Weiser Mazars, which is a global accounting, tax, and advisory firm, and I'm pleased to be presenting today's webcast. This is Using LinkedIn for Business Development, which I'm presenting on behalf of the SIFM, so I'd also like to thank them for having me here today. Now, since you all signed up for this webcast, I assume you already know, or at least have heard the alleged rumors, that LinkedIn is one of the greatest business tools out there today for research, relationship management, business development, the list goes on. And I certainly agree. LinkedIn is a great tool, and it's certainly an underused tool. So my goal for today is to make sure that you leave this session having it be well worth your time. I want to answer any questions you may have and make sure you leave here with a solid understanding of a few LinkedIn features that will help you grow both your personal brand and your business on LinkedIn, as well as online in general and offline as well. So there's a copy of today's presentation available via the green resource list button at the bottom of your screen. So go ahead and take a minute to find that. It's right at the bottom there under that green resource list button. Feel free to print that off and follow along. I also encourage you to ask questions. You can do so via the Q&A box on the lower left-hand side of your screen. And if I don't get to your question during today's presentation, I will certainly answer it later via email. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Now, this is the agenda for today's presentation. We are going to go through 6 tools to help you build your business. These are 6 features that LinkedIn offers that will really help you build your personal brand and promote yourself as an individual, help you promote your company, help you promote a specific event or specific article you're trying to get more coverage on. All of these features will be very useful in that sense. And we're also going to spend a little bit of time talking about LinkedIn etiquette and the appropriate way for contacting potential connections so that we're not offending anyone right off the bat. Now, all of these tools, as a preface, all of these tools are going to ultimately direct to your personal profile page on LinkedIn. So it's very important that before you start using these tools very heavily, that your LinkedIn page is in good shape, that you have a solid profile that's a good representation of you as a professional. Now, previously I had done another webcast with the SIFM called Building and Optimizing Your LinkedIn Profile, which goes through a lot of tips and tricks about how to get your profile up to date, how to kind of trick those LinkedIn algorithms into making you pop up ahead of everyone else in searches. So there's a lot of cool little features in there. And I encourage you, if you haven't already taken that webcast or taken a similar presentation, to either contact me for a copy of that presentation. We also have a video of that webcast which you can watch. So that's a good place to start. Also, if you feel like it, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and that's all available to you there under my summary as well. So that's just a preface about having your profile up to date. The second thing we're going to talk about today is your weekly LinkedIn checklist. Because with all the social media tools today, all the communication tools, it can be very overwhelming and very time-consuming, certainly. So I've put together a checklist of daily things to do to kind of keep you on track and make sure you're using these tools effectively and efficiently and not spending too much time. Again, please ask questions at any point. Feel free to send those through. And also, I encourage you to have a separate tab open on your browser and to follow along on LinkedIn. I always find that I remember things better if I try them out myself. So please feel free to do that as I go through the tools to kind of follow along and do that as well. All right. Now, before we introduce the first tool here, I'd like to hear a little bit about you and kind of get a sense of who's on today. So please answer that question that's on the screen there. How frequently do you use LinkedIn? We have at least once a day, a few times a week, infrequently, rarely, or what on earth is LinkedIn? So go ahead and select one of those options and make sure you hit submit. So take a second and do that. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, good. Okay, so everyone here at least uses LinkedIn fairly frequently, so that's a good thing, and you're in the right spot. That means you probably have an updated profile and you're ready for kind of some of the advanced tricks that we're going to talk about today. So let's go ahead and get started with that. These are the 6 tools to help you build your business. Now, the first tool I'm going to talk about is what's called the Relationship Tracker, and that's basically the new way of writing on the back of business cards. So what it is for all of your connections, you have an option to kind of add in some information that's visible only to you so that you can go back and refer to this information later and kind of stay up to date on who your contacts are. And so I'm going to go ahead and switch over and show you this in person here so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so we'll switch over to the live view. Perfect. All right, so where I am now, I'm logged into LinkedIn as myself, and this right here is your newsfeed. If anyone doesn't know where that is, you just click home right here. And these are the updates of everyone in your network. So if they have a new connection, if they joined a group, if they shared an update, that will all show up here. And you have the option to like, comment, and share on things. This is also where you'll go to post your own updates, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, we want to see this relationship tracker. So you can go ahead and find one of your connections. I use Reno, who's a marketing manager here at Weiser-Mazars, as an example. All right. You see he has a very nice page set up. He has his cover image. He has a nice optimized bio here with the special character. And right underneath his picture here, you see there's this little relationship tab. Now, if you don't have this yet, don't panic. LinkedIn rolls these things out in phases. And this is a fairly new one. So if you don't have this yet, it's coming. You'll have it soon. So anyway, this is the relationship bar. And you'll see if you open this up, it tracks your history with this person on LinkedIn. So you have back here, we were working on a Weiser-Mazars test group. We connected in August 2013. We were discussing another LinkedIn webinar I was doing. So this is a good way to kind of go back and kind of reference some things. There's also an option to add in a note. So this is basically, like I said, writing on the back of a business card. So you could be like, oh, has 2 dogs, or, we met at this event, or, likes construction works, oh, the kids' names are this. This is where you would put all that information, so later when you go back and you have a meeting or a call with them, you can have those facts at the top of your mind to really stay present and in that relationship. So it's very useful for that, and that's a very good business development technique. You can also here set a reminder. So you can set a recurring reminder, every 3 months to have this person, LinkedIn will send you a little reminder, and then you can go ahead and you can send them a nice email saying, oh, I was just thinking about you, how have you been doing? You can pick up the phone and call them. And I'm a big proponent, I always say connect in person. LinkedIn cannot replace human interaction, and I would never justify that. But it can certainly aid it. So it can certainly send you reminders and kind of help you keep track of your relationships. But I do think, you don't need to contact these people on LinkedIn. You can take it offline and pick up the phone, send them an email, set up a lunch, and just, kind of check in with your connections. That's a good business development practice right there. There's also an option here to put in how you met. So that's a relevant thing. You can also put in who introduced you. And mind you, all this information is visible only to you. Reno wouldn't be able to see it if I had notes in here on him. None of our connections would be able to see it. It's just for my eyes only, and that it will always remain that way. So this is kind of a good way as you add in new connections that you made at events. You pick up some business cards, you go find them on LinkedIn, put in that information then when you're thinking of it. Now this last feature here, this is another feature that LinkedIn offers. This is called tagging. And what you can do is you can tag your connections on LinkedIn into various folders. So, for example, I created an SIFM LinkedIn training tag. And how you would do that, we'll add another one for example's sake. So we'll say SIFM LinkedIn training 2. So if I wanted to create a folder of all the connections I met during this LinkedIn training, I'll go ahead and save that. And you'll see your tag has been applied, so that's great. All right. And so you can go through here. You see I have a bunch of them for several of the trainings. You can do classmates, colleagues, friends, partners. Here's that SIFM LinkedIn training 2. And what that allows you to do, I'll show you, is you can contact those people all at once. So if you come up here to your Connections tab, go ahead and click on that. This will take you to the list of all your conversations here. You can sort by last name, first name, new, and you'll see here I have the list of all of them. So let's add another person to that SIFM training just as an example. So here we go. We'll add this Arena to that here. So again, we'll scroll down a little bit, add her to SIFM LinkedIn training 2, and we're just kind of putting a tag on her profile, adding her to this group here. Okay? So there we go. We've added her. Now what you can do is you can filter your connections. You can filter them by company, by tag, by location, title, source. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to filter them by tag. I'm going to come to that SIFM LinkedIn training 2. And you'll see there we have Irina and we have Reno. Now, it's nice because you can kind of see everyone that's all in that group there. Another option you can do is you can select all, and then you can go ahead and message all of them together. All right, so this is useful if you're, for example, going to an event and you'd like to invite a whole bunch of people and you don't want to take the time to, send them each a message. You can kind of send a group message out, and you can uncheck this box here that says allow recipients to see each other's names and email addresses. Just uncheck that, type in your message, type in your subject, and you can contact those people all at once. So this is a nice feature that LinkedIn offers. Some people find this useful, other people don't, but this is certainly a tool you should be aware of because it can come in handy if ever you need to kind of do a group message for anything like that. Okay? So we'll go ahead and we'll cancel out of that. All right. Again, so we'll come back here. And again, how you get to that relationship tracker is you just find one of your existing connections. You already have to be connected with them. And then it will be right here under their picture, and next to contact info, you'll have a little bit of a relationship tab where you can add all this information. A note, reminder, how you met, and a tag. All right, so that's a useful tool for kind of keeping up to date on your relationship management, kind of adding in those details there and not losing all those business cards that are always floating around. Okay? So now let's switch back over to the presentation. All right. So now we're going to go to our second tool, which is status updates. Now, for those of you who have a Facebook or a Twitter, for those of you who you guys seem pretty fairly active on LinkedIn, this is a status update. You're posting some information with your network. So you'll post an event you're going to, an article you read, something your company put out, like a newsletter or something like that. You can post these things as a status update is what LinkedIn calls it, and everyone in your network will see it. It will show up on their news feeds, which is what we mentioned before. Now, why should you post? Well, one, it's going to improve your visibility and promotes your personal brand. So if you post, a couple of times a week, people are going to start to remember your name and see your name, and if you're posting valuable and interesting content, they're going to say, oh man, that Chris Roberts is always posting those great articles, and so they'll start to think of you top of mind. Your name will become familiar, and they'll start to think of you as a thought leader in the industry. So that's very useful because there's a lot of information coming at people every day, and this is a good way to kind of keep yourself top of mind. So you're promoting yourself, you're promoting your company. Another reason to do that is the viral nature of status updates on LinkedIn. When you post something on Facebook, for example, there's no guarantee that your network will see it because Facebook has such a complicated algorithm for determining what shows up on people's news feeds. So Facebook is kind of sketchy. Twitter, there are so many posts every minute that if you post something, 5 minutes later it's going to be so far down on everyone else's news feeds that they may not see it. So on Twitter you have to post a lot. But on LinkedIn, when you post something, it's very sticky, I like to say. It will stay at the top of other people's news feeds, and there's a very good chance that other people in your network and not in your network are going to see it. So you'll see, for example, in this picture here on the slide of Chris Roberts, who's our Director of Human Resources in Long Island, you'll see here there's an example underneath a post he posted. It was a Forbes article, 14 things successful people do on weekends. What will you do to recharge the batteries and prepare for Monday this weekend? Right? Very simple, very basic, good for a professional thing. His network will be interested in that as an HR professional. All right, so he went ahead and he posted this on LinkedIn. So everyone who he's connected with will have that appear on their news feed. All right, so that's something that they're going to see. They have the option to like, comment, or share it. So already everyone that he's connected with, which you'll see here is 500 plus people, has a good chance of seeing that update. But then additionally, you'll see some people liked this update. So we have Marie Berg, Noel Baker, and 2 others liked this update. So not only does everyone in Chris's network see this, but because these people liked it, everyone in Marie Berg's network is going to see this. And everyone in Noel Baker's network is going to see this because LinkedIn will automatically take that. And if you like something, it's almost like you're posting it yourself. It will show up to your whole network. So it's going to travel. A post that Chris posted is going to travel much further. than his 500 connections. Because if you say Marie has a couple hundred, Noel has a couple hundred, 2 other people liked this, those are a very wide range of people who are seeing this post, and they're seeing it still attached to Chris Roberts' name. So that's great for Chris as far as promoting his name and promoting his brand. So that's what I mean by it's very sticky, and it really keeps you top of mind in people's thoughts. And it also keeps you informed. Having to think twice or 3 times a week of posting a LinkedIn article, you have to go out and you have to check what other people are posting, you have to interact with people, and it's going to keep you updated on what's going on in the industry and what's going on with your network, again, which is very important in terms of business development, okay? So you're like, all right, fine, I'll post. Well, what do I post? There's a lot of information. I'm sure all of your companies send out updates. So I'll show you this in a minute. Like, for example, here at Wiser Mazars, our Wiser Mazars LinkedIn page, we're always posting newsletters, videos, articles, and we're more than happy when people share those things and then use that as their own content. Certainly, that promotes everybody's names. You can do your company's updates on LinkedIn. You can do your company's produced content if they send out a newsletter or something. That's a perfect thing to share on LinkedIn. And then it doesn't have to be something related to your company. It can be just an interesting article you've read on LinkedIn Pulse, which are all those LinkedIn articles you see, LinkedIn updates. You could find it on Twitter, blogs. You could find it in industry journals and in groups. It can be a Forbes article. It can be a Wall Street Journal article. Certainly, any of those things are applicable to LinkedIn. As long as it's professional, then you would be more than fine to share that. And how often should you post? I would recommend 2 to 5 times per week. You don't really want to start posting more than once a day because people might get a little bit sick of your name. So that's really the sweet spot, is 2 to 5 times per week. All right, so now that we're through this slide, let me take you over and show you how to actually post something on LinkedIn. So again, we'll switch back over here. Okay, excellent. So again, what you'll do is you'll come to your home page here. This is your home page, and you'll see what everyone else is sharing. All right, so here's Sal Kalemi, a lesson from Avengers 2, how one great hire can be worth $596 million. So that's a LinkedIn article that someone posted. Again, you can like, comment, or share on it, so I'll go ahead and like that. And now that I've liked it, not only will everyone in Sal's network see it, everyone in my network will see that article too. Again, that's speaking to that sticky nature of LinkedIn posts. All right, so you'll see all these other things that people are posting. Now, the first thing I had on that list was posting your company's LinkedIn updates, right? So one thing you can do, for example, I'll go to the Wiser Mazars page as an example. All right, so you come up to the search bar and you type in your company's name and come down. It'll probably pop up under companies. All right, so here's the Wiser Mazars company page. And you'll see here we have all of our recent updates. So just yesterday we posted a media barometer that one of our groups recently did. That's something you can like. That's something you can comment. And if you're not the administrator on the page, that's something you'll also be able to share. And then that's easy content. You don't even have to do anything. It's all written. The link is there. The picture is there. All you have to do is click share, and it's going to show up to everyone in your network and show that you're being proactive on LinkedIn. All right? So that's a really great way to do that. Another thing you can do is if you have a newsletter that's sent out, basically anything that has a link or even a PDF, you can go ahead and share that, and I'll show you how to do that. So for example, here is, let's see, Forbes.com. All right, so this is a great source of articles and things that people are always sharing on LinkedIn. So let's see, what do we want to share today? Employers to chip in more 401k dollars. That's interesting, relevant to my network. All right, so you'll see there's a couple of ways to do that. So here you have this nice article, you've read it, and you're like, yes, I would like to share this on LinkedIn. Well, you just come up here, copy that link, come back to your LinkedIn page, and you want to go to your home page. That's where you're going to share an update, all right? So that's what we're doing here. We're sharing an update. You just go ahead and copy that link in. And you'll see it's nice because it automatically pulls the little blurb. You get the title. You get a nice picture. It's going to automatically show up as the link. So now that this is pulled, you can go ahead and delete that and say, great article today in Forbes on 401k matches. All right, so that would be a perfectly good LinkedIn post. That didn't take us any time at all. All right, so then you can, down here, you can choose who you want to share it with, and then you hit share, and then it will show up to everyone in your network. Okay, so that's a great thing to do, and that's going to increase people viewing your profile and increasing people viewing your updates, which again is going to just keep your name up there. It's going to keep your name on top of the pack, which is really good in terms of business development. All right, so that's one way to do that. You just copy in the link there. Another way to do it is that most journals and newspapers and magazines that are online, they'll automatically have share buttons right on their page. So you see here, here's this article again. If we don't want to copy and paste that link, we can just come over here on the side, and you'll see they have the option to share this. It's been shared 15 times already. So I'll just go ahead and click that button. And it already knows I'm logged into LinkedIn as myself, so it will post as me. And it's already, again, pulling that picture, pulling the title, pulling the blurb. And you can say, yes, I want to share an update. So this is where you would say, great article from Forbes. Okay? So there's, you can share an update. Again, you have that same option of where you want to share it with. And then if you want to match it to Twitter, you could. So there you go. You can share an update. You can also post to groups. So if I wanted to share this with the Mazars community group, I can go ahead and post that, and we'll talk about groups in a little bit. So you can target that more specifically, or you can send it to individuals. So if I wanted to send this to Reno, I'll go ahead, type his name in, and it automatically will pop that up. So there we go. And then you can edit your subject line, edit your message. You can, if you're sending it to more than one person at once, again, you have that option to allow recipients to see each other's names and email addresses. So there you go. You can do all three options. You can do just one. But that, again, is a very easy way to share content, share a status update on LinkedIn. And you just go ahead and hit share there. Okay? Does that all make sense? So that's status updates. Again, a very useful tool. It's going to keep your name top of mind, and it's going to really help you push out content. And like I said, if you're going to an event or if you're promoting an article that you wrote, then certainly LinkedIn is a great place to do it because it's very sticky and people are much more likely to see that content than if you post on Facebook or if you post on Twitter, or sometimes even if you email it. Sometimes LinkedIn clicks actually get more clicks. LinkedIn posts get more clicks than emails because email is very overwhelming and time-consuming. Okay? So now we're going to switch back again to the presentation here, and we're going to talk about the next thing. So give that a minute to refresh on all your screens. All right, so we've finished talking about tool number 2, status updates. Now tool number 3 is long-form post publisher. This is a really cool thing that is fairly new to LinkedIn. Just within the past few months, these long-form post publishers have started appearing on people's profiles. So again, this may not be something you have yet, but you will have it soon, and it's a really useful thing to know about. So essentially what a long-form post is a blog. It's a blog within LinkedIn that you own on your profile. So you'll see here this Steve Welsh Digital Marketing is a digital marketing consultant, and you'll see down here that he has these posts that appear right on his profile page that he's written. They're essentially like mini blog entries: how to craft a content marketing strategy, YouTube optimization, what's a social media manager. So again, you probably wouldn't be writing about those topics, but you could be writing about topics that are relevant to you. So if you have a topic that you speak about often or that you write about often, or something that's hot in your industry right now and very shareable, then I encourage you to kind of do a post about it here, because this is very shareable content, and again, a lot of people are going to see this. A couple other features of this is that it's shareable both on and off LinkedIn, which means that people don't need to be logged in to see this content. If they're just Googling, for example, if we wrote an article about FATCA tax law, and someone put a long-form post on their profile, if someone just Googles, FATCA tax law, and it's the right combination of keywords, then it's more likely to pop up on Google. The reason for that being is that social media sites have very strong pull on Google. And in fact, if you Google your name, I would bet you that the first thing to pop up will be your LinkedIn page. And again, if you have these long-form posts on there, those things are going to pop up as well for when people Google your name, when people Google certain buzzwords related to the topics you talk about. So this is a very good way to optimize yourself for search engine optimization. And these are self-published. They don't need to be approved. They just are published by you, and you can go ahead and do that. Also, it's going to go to everyone you connect with. So that's a very useful thing, again, to push content out, keep your name top of mind, and people will be able to see these posts whether or not you're connected with them. So it goes to your network as well as a very extended network of people who may be interested in that topic. So LinkedIn is really going to help you there pushing this content out. So let me show you, I'll switch back over again, how you would go about publishing one of these posts. We'll take a minute, let that buffer. Perfect. All right, so here we are back on LinkedIn. We're on our home page here. And right next to this share an update box, you can also share a photo if you like, there is this publish a post. And this will take you to this screen where, again, you write a headline for your article. There we go, my article. And then you'll just go ahead and you can write whatever you want. You can copy and paste content from an article you've previously written into here to kind of keep it updated on your profile. That's a great thing to do. You can add images. You can add hyperlinks. You can do all the normal formatting that you would normally do. You can embed a video in here if you wanted to do that. And then, once you're done, you can go ahead and save your draft and come back and keep working on it. Again, you can delete, and then once you write something, you would be able to publish it. All right, so I'll show you an example of someone who has done that. Is Hubert, who is the director of social media at our Paris office. And you'll see here, again, there's that relationship bar, very nice. And down here, he has posts. So these are things that Hubert has published. And you'll see he has 500 plus connections and 1,200 followers. So 1,200 people saw these posts that he posted here. All right, so here's one, digital communications. All right, so then you have a nice little thing up here. You have his title, you have a picture, and then he just wrote this article. He self-published it. That's a great thing about social media that allows people to self-publish. You don't have to go through the traditional channels anymore. Okay, and then down at the bottom, we'll get to the bottom of this article here. You'll see he's written 2 posts. 11 people liked this post. 1 person commented on it. And also, when you publish it, you'll be able to see how many views you got. And usually a post like this, even if you only have maybe a few hundred people in your network, will have several thousand views. So that's a very useful way to get your name out there again and to start writing about something. So if you do have a topic that you could write about, I would encourage you to use the long-form post publisher on LinkedIn as a location to do that. It's going to be very good for SEO, very good for your name recognition, and very good for business development, because then you also have this nice link that you can send to people and share with people, share with your contacts, and that's, again, also something you can post as a status update. So there's a lot of uses, a lot of things tied together in these long-form posts. So I would recommend that as an option if you do have something to write about and writing is something that interests you. Okay? So now we will switch back over to the presentation. Give that a minute to think about itself. All right. So now we're getting into really the meat of LinkedIn, the really useful parts of LinkedIn. And I already had a few people reach out to me prior to this webcast and ask me to talk about this. So pay attention because we're to that point now. So this is tool number 4, company pages. And this is a great way to find recent info about companies, but also to see how you're connected to companies. Because what LinkedIn allows you to do is really create a visual map of your network and uncover connections you didn't think you had, potential clients you didn't think you had, and it's a really useful tool. So I'm going to take you through step by step how you can kind of use this to your benefit. So you'll see here, I'm using just as an example Google. This is their company page on LinkedIn. So whereas individuals have a profile page, companies have a company page. So you see here that Google has one, my company, Weiser Mazars, has one. I'm sure all of your companies have one, and if they don't, they should. And so what you can do, you'll see up at the top, there's a yellow button to follow companies' updates. So when you do that, those updates will then show up in your news feed there, which you should be checking at least once a day. And you'll see some information on Google. You'll see recent updates they've done. But then this most important box is this how you're connected to Google. So again, let me switch back over to LinkedIn, and I will show you this live and in person. All right, let that buffer for a second. Excellent. Okay. So again, we'll start back on our home page, and we'll go ahead and we'll use Google as an example. So you come up to your search bar and you search for the company you want to find information on. All right, so that's right up here, and you'll see down here, companies, Google, that's what we're looking for. So we'll go ahead and we'll click on that. And this is Google's company page. So you'll see here they have a little homepage image. They have a careers tab, so that's probably some job listings they have on LinkedIn. And they have some recent updates here. So on this Throwback Thursday, we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of the first YouTube video. All right, so now that's an interesting thing. So, I always tell our partners, if you're going into a client meeting with Google and you need to talk to them about something, this is a great way to see what's going on with that company, what their people are talking about. So you can say, I just saw that it was the 10th anniversary of YouTube. That's awesome. What are you guys doing for that? It's a good talking point. It's a good introduction to the company. And you may not be going to meetings with Google, but most companies have these pages, and it would be a similar effect. So now, the most important thing we want to talk about is this how you're connected box. Because if you came up to me and you asked me, hey, do you know anyone who works at Google? I'd be like, no, I don't think so. I don't think I know anyone who works at Google. However, if you come to LinkedIn and you check Google, it will tell you how you're connected to Google. And apparently, yes, I do know people who work at Google. So what you see here is this is going to be based on your network. So it's another cool thing about LinkedIn is everything is customized to your network, the people you're connected with. So this is customized to me. If you do this search, you're going to get different results. So again, I encourage you to follow along and kind of see what you can find in your own network. So this how you're connected box shows that I have 2 first-degree connections to Google. So that means 2 people who I'm directly connected with, either they've sent me a request or I've sent them a request and someone's accepted, were first-degree connections. So 2 people that I've connected with work at Google. But more importantly, you have 959 second-degree connections who work at Google. So that means 959 people who I don't know directly know someone that I know. We share a connection, okay? And then it also shows you that they have 60,000 employees who are currently active on LinkedIn. So that's an interesting number and statistic in and of itself. What you want to do is you come over here and click See All, and it will give you a whole bunch of information on this. So it's going to rank this list based on how closely connected you are to people. So you'll see my first-degree connections are first. So Jonah Berman, Senior Account Manager, Large Customer Sales at Google, based in Boston. Now, I know Jonah was one of my advisors when I was at school in Boston College. When I graduated, he was still an advisor at school at Boston College. So had I not had LinkedIn, I would have assumed that that's still where he was working. However, no, LinkedIn very clearly says, oh, no, he's working at Google now. All right, so that's a very useful tool there. Okay, and so James Lang, he was a classmate of mine, also now works at Google from Boston College. So again, when we graduated, he was working at Goldman Sachs, and now he's over at Google. So very interesting how it'll keep your connections updated for you. It's basically kind of like your own little CRM system, if you're familiar with that. But then the real use here is you'll see, if we scroll down a little bit more, now this is a second-degree connection. I don't know this person, Avinash Kaushik. Author, blogger, digital marketing evangelist. All right, he's an influencer, so that means he's fairly important. That means LinkedIn has chosen him to do a blog series. But this is the magic button right here, one shared connection. Okay, so it shows you I'm connected to Brent Campbell, who's connected to Avinash. So Brent Campbell is a past colleague of mine who I'm connected with, and now he knows this Avinash Kaushik person. So if I'm trying to get a meeting at Google, be it for business development, be it for research, be it for any reason really, I can reach out to Brent and say, hey Brent, I see that you know this Avinash Kaushik guy. Are you close to him? Would you mind introducing me? It's giving you a warm lead to this person. You don't have to cold call this Avinash guy. You can find a common connection. And if your network is big enough, you probably have a few. Again, down here, it's a similar thing. You have this Elan Deckel person, second-degree connection, is a Googler in New York City. One shared connection. So Kathleen Struck, this was, I wrote for a newspaper when I was at Boston College, and she was the editor. And so she knows this Elan Deckel. So if I wanted to know Elan Deckel, I would go to Kathleen Struck and say, hey, I see that you know Elan. Would you mind introducing me? Now, again, like I said before, there are ways that LinkedIn lets you do this through LinkedIn. You can just click a couple buttons and request an introduction. However, I would always recommend picking up the phone and calling Kathleen and saying, hey Kathleen, how have you been? Nice to talk to you. I see that you know Elan. Would you mind introducing me? That's good business development practice, okay? And similarly, I would encourage you to set up a lunch or email them or talk to them in person. Doing it all through LinkedIn, while it's an option, is maybe not the most personable way you can go and probably not the most effective way to develop business using LinkedIn. It's really better to kind of use this as your research tool and then go make those moves in person. So that's, again, a really useful thing. So just to give you another example, I'll search for like Pepsi. Let's try Pepsi. All right, PepsiCo, food and beverage company. And you'd ask me, do you know anyone who works at Pepsi? And I'd be like, oh, no, I don't think so. And according to here, I don't know anyone who works directly at Pepsi. However, I do have 188 second-degree connections. So not even knowing anyone who works at the company, I'm still connected, and LinkedIn will show me how. So again, let's see who pops up first. We have a marketing, business development, and strategy leader, one shared connection. All right, so this is Maria Sconamilio, a friend and a sister of a colleague who knows this Christina person who works at MBA. So if I wanted to know Christina, I'd go to Maria and be like, Maria, how well do you know Christina? Is that someone you could introduce me to? That's a really useful thing to be able to do, because without LinkedIn, you would have no idea. You have no idea who all of your connections know. And LinkedIn is really a visual representation of that. So that's a very useful tool. And again, you can just keep clicking down this list and see all these common connections that you have. And again, it's going to customize it based on your network. So if you go ahead and do this exact same search that I did, you're going to have a very different list of results. You're going to have different people pop up because you're connected to different people. Okay? So that's a really useful tool. And again, we started that at the company pages. So you come up here to the search tab, just put it on all. Search for a company like we search for Google, and then you'll be able to come down here, come to their company page, and come over here to this How You're Connected box. Okay? So now let's switch back over to the presentation. Give it a minute to buffer here. Very nice. So again, that's tool number 4, those company pages. It's a really useful thing there. Okay. So now we're going to go to the next tool, tool number 5. This is the advanced search feature, and this is a really underused tool. A lot of people don't know about this, and it's such a great tool for business development. And whether you're doing research, whether you're doing branding things, whether you're looking to get some new clients, this is a really great tool for you to start with. So what this allows you to do is it's basically an advanced search. You can go through, put in all your criteria, and it's going to pop out with a list based on your connections of who you're most closely connected with based on that search criteria. Now, LinkedIn today has more than 350 million profiles, and it's firsthand information on all of them. So it's information that people keep updated themselves, that people think is important about themselves, and that's a really great tool to be able to go through and search all of that. So additionally, the bigger your network, the more people you're going to be connected with. So, a talk I talk about in the Building and Optimizing Your Profile webcast, and I'll mention now, is people are very cautious to connect with certain people. I've heard people say, oh, well, I don't want to connect with my colleagues. Why would I want to connect with them? I see them every day. The reason is because you don't know who your colleagues know. The person sitting in the office next door to you may know someone who's very useful for you, and it's never come up in conversation, it's never been mentioned, and LinkedIn is the tool to kind of find those connections without you having to, go around asking everybody for referrals. You can do your pre-research. So I always say, when you're deciding whether or not to connect with someone, be like, well, would this person be able to introduce me to someone I might know? And am I close enough to this person to request a referral or to request an introduction? So that's kind of how I choose how to connect with on LinkedIn. All right, so now I'm going to switch back over, show you this advanced search feature in person. Okay, so again, we'll start back on our home page here. So this is where we all start. Now, right up here next to the search bar, you'll see there's this advanced button. Just go ahead and click on that, and it'll pop open this tab here with all these search fields. So as an example, I'll search for keyword CFO. So I'm going to search for profiles that have CFO as a keyword. You can even search by location. You can be located in or near the zip code where I am. I'm in New York City. You can do search by company. You can search by school, title, last name, first name if you're trying to find a specific person. And then the really useful thing here is you come to this industry box. Now, mind you, this is all under the free LinkedIn account. These are things I have over here because I have the LinkedIn Premium account, but I rarely use these in all honesty. I really use the free features more than anything. So you can come down here and you can select which industry you want to search for people for. Because when you create, and you may remember when you created your LinkedIn page, you had to select what industry you are a part of. So you maybe put financial services or insurance. And so everyone else had to do that as well. So now you can go ahead and search by them. And I'll do like food and beverage as an example. I think there's even gets very specific. There's even a dairy option as an industry, right? So you can get very specific in the people you're looking for. You can look for food and beverage. You can look for graphic design, higher education, hospitality. Any industry that you're trying to target is probably on here. Okay? So we'll just do those three. CFOs located near the zip code. Go ahead and hit search. All right. Now, mind you, I'm a marketing person, and my network is essentially marketing-based. However, even despite that, I have 277 results for this very specific search for food and beverage, food production, dairy, CFOs. That's incredible, right? So you'll have CFO at Iberia Foods Brooklyn Bottling Group. And again, it has that magic two shared connections button. So you can see, oh, okay, look, Weiser Mazars people must already know that person. That's great. And that's something, if I was trying to get in touch with James Tully for something, I could go to Vince or I could go to Lou, and I could say, hey, I see that you know this guy. Would you mind introducing me? I have some follow-up I need to do with him. You have CFO at Schreiber Foods International. Common Connection is one of our marketing people. Jeff Cohen here. Again, you have more common connections at Weiser Mazars. And you'll see you can go down and down this list. Look, there's 10 pages of this. Let's see what's on page 6. All right, so we have supply chain CFO at Nestle Waters, okay? You have CFO at CRM, CFO at Ross Fish, Angelica Coffee. So if you're trying to find CFOs in the food and beverage industry, just running this search is a great tool. And you can go ahead, if you're running into a meeting, you can go ahead and save the search, and you can go ahead and get an alert weekly about whether it's updated or not. And so that's a really good place to start your business development. If you're looking for a specific group of people, I would really encourage you to come here and try that. Again, I'll show you that again. You come up here to Advanced next to your search bar. You can come up here, type in location. Let's do international fades, international trade and development. Who else? We'll do investment banking, just some random ones for an example. Come here and hit search. Now look, with that, now we're at 561 results. If we take out the food ones to see who the new ones are. All right, so we have CFO at ADG, CFO at ACE Portal, Assistant Vice President at Credit Suisse, CFO at Natixis. These are useful people, and you can see, look, you have all these shared connections. Again, it's going to rank these results and how closely connected to these people you are. So that's a really great tool as far as business development is concerned. Okay? So again, that's the advanced search feature. I'll switch back over to the presentation. All right, so that's tool number 5. Again, really, really useful. Now, tool number 6, this is contacting potential connections. So this is where we're going to talk about the etiquette for a little bit. I want to review kind of some things you should be doing, best practices, maybe some things you shouldn't be doing. So here we go. On this slide, you see you found someone with whom you want to connect. It can be someone it doesn't have to be someone you met on LinkedIn. It can be someone you met at an event, someone who posted in a shared group, someone you found via an advanced search, or someone from the People You May Know feature, which I'll show you in a bit here. So anyone that you met anywhere and you want to connect with them on LinkedIn. So there's 4 ways to go about contacting someone using LinkedIn. The first and best way, again, is to go offline. If you have a shared connection with someone, if you're trying to get an introduction to someone, use the LinkedIn as a research tool and then call that person, email that person, ask for an introduction, because that's going to get you much further than sending a cold call email or just randomly connecting with them on LinkedIn. All right? So that's an option there. So again, go offline, contact a shared connection. Or you can do a simple personalized connect invite if that's not an option. We'll talk about that in a bit. You can contact via shared groups and message, or you can use InMails, which that's available only to premium account holders on LinkedIn. And what that allows you to do is contact someone with whom you have no common connections. With the free account, if someone's too far away from your network on LinkedIn, it's not going to let you connect with them. Unless you have the premium account, you can send them an InMail, and you get a certain number of InMails per month. So let's go ahead and talk about some of these ways to contact people. The first thing is a simple connection message here, okay? So say you found someone on LinkedIn you want to connect with, and it's a potential client, but you don't have anyone in common, and you can't do the warm introduction, so you're going to have to just send them a connection message and hope they reply. All right? Well, this is the way not to do it. So right here you'll see I'm inviting Graham to connect on LinkedIn. I checked a friend because I don't really know him all that well. I want to get introduced to him, so I put friend, and I said I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn, because that's the automatic default message that you'll send to someone. Well, this is no good, because one, they have no idea who you are, and you're claiming to be their friend. And if they don't know you and you're claiming to be their friend, they're going to think that's kind of odd, and they're probably going to decline this request. So what you really want to do instead is you want to state who you are and how you're connected. You want to say why you're connecting them. And you always want to, rule number 1 of business development is you want to provide value rather than ask for a favor write-up. So you wouldn't send someone a message and be like, hey, I'd like to introduce, do you want to go to lunch? You'd rather say, oh, I thought this would be an interesting article for you to read, and I have an example here of how that would look. So for example, this is Graham Staley, who is the VP of Global Investor Relations at Anheuser-Busch. And I know him through Stefan Jekyll. So this is my common connection, who's the managing director at the New York Stock Exchange. And if for some reason I don't want to contact Stefan and say, hey, Stefan, can you introduce me to Graham? I just want to send a connection message. This would be what I recommend over here. So what you always want to do is, if you're a colleague, put colleague. If you're a classmate, put classmate. If you're none of the other options, check we've done business together and put in your most recent title. Okay, because if you're a friend, that's weird. If you're not a friend, it's weird to put friend. If it's other, it's going to make you explain. LinkedIn is going to make you explain why you're connecting with them. And I don't know Graham is an option, and that's just a trick. Because if you go ahead and if you check that box and then try to connect with them, LinkedIn will send you an error message and yell at you for trying to connect with people you don't really know. So that's just a trick. Don't fall for that one. And then what you want to do is you have a space here to kind of put in a nice little introductory message. And by customizing that message, you've already more than doubled your chance of getting a return message back from that person, as opposed to that standard default message. So again, hello Graham, I'm a second-degree connection of yours via Stefan Jekyll, and I recently posted a food and beverage industry survey in which I think you might be interested. I welcome your comments and hope that we continue to connect on LinkedIn. Perfect. That is the ideal way to contact someone. You're using appropriate LinkedIn etiquette, And that's a really good thing for you to do. So let me show you where that is on the page. So we'll come back again to LinkedIn. Let's see if we can find him. Graham Daly, there he is. So again, you'll see here's how you would connect with someone. You'd go ahead and hit connect from their profile page. And here are those options. You can select colleague and select classmate. We've done business together, so again, I would do that and put my most recent position. Friend, other, see, it's going to make you put in an email address or something, and then I don't know Graham. It's just a trick. Don't fall for it. All right, so that's how you would go ahead and do that. Another quick note is, for example, if you do an advanced search or something here, let's go ahead and close that. Let's say we just want to do, we'll do CFO, again, in the airline industry, okay? So now, just so you know, if you're looking at this this list of individuals, if you go ahead and hit connect from here, it's going to automatically send them that default message, which is not something we want to do. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and you want to click into their page, and then you can connect with them from there, okay? You don't want to do it from this sidebar over here because that's going to just send them that default message. You always want to customize when possible. The other thing I promised I would show you over here is the People You May Know feature. So from your home page, you have People You May Know, and there's different ways to find it here. In connections, you can add connections, you can keep in touch with people, and what that will do is it will kind of connect with your email address, and it will search people you've emailed, people who have emailed you, and it will give you a list of suggested connections. So that's a way to quickly build your network so that you have more connections there. So if you want, I would encourage you to kind of spend some time looking at that. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me about that. Now, switching back over to the presentation. All right. Switch to audience. We'll go back and do that. So again, this is how I would really recommend. This is appropriate LinkedIn etiquette for contacting someone, and this is much better than doing a cold call or sending that default message. Now, I'm going to show you one last little trick here. This is contacting individuals using groups. So a lot of times you'll notice on LinkedIn that a person is too distant of a connection for you to be able to connect with them. You'll see here this Andrew Bronstein is a controller at Brooklyn Brew Shop. We have a very strong food and beverage practice here, so that's a good person for us to know. However, he's a third-degree connection of mine. We don't have any common connections, so it won't let you connect with them. You're too far away, and I can only send an email, and that's only because I have a premium. If you didn't have a premium account, you wouldn't even be able to do that. So how on earth are we going to connect with this fellow? Well, don't panic. There is a way. There's a secret little way, which I'm going to show you now. So again, we'll switch back over here. So now this fellow, I found him in a search that I was doing for food and beverage finance people. And so I'll come back over again, and I saved the search so I'd be able to find it quickly for you guys. And so you'll see up here you have the Save Search option that I showed you before. Just come in here, and this is a Save Search that I had done in which I found this fellow. All right? And he was on page 11. So I went great into the depths to find this fellow here. Okay? So we'll see here he is. Andrew Bronstein, controller at Brooklyn Brew Shop. Can't connect with him. I can only send him an email, and that's just because I have the premium account. But this is someone I really think would be of use. So we'll go ahead and here, click on his name, and then we'll scroll down to where he has his groups, okay? So you'll see in here, he has a bunch of groups in here, and these are just different networks you can join. And let's see if there's any, and just see if any apply to you or any that you could join as well. All right, so here's one, Restaurants and Hospitality. As a food and beverage practice, that's a useful group for us to be a part of. So you can go ahead and you can join the group, okay? So we'll go ahead and join that. And you'll see that's, nope, that one's closed. So let's go back and do a different one. All right, so what you're looking for is you're looking for a group that's open so that everyone can join. Let's see, there's people in brewing, New York jobs, restaurants and hospitality. And what you're going to do there, here we go, let's see if it's this one. So you would go ahead and join this group, and then once they allow you access into the group, you're going to be able to access their members, and then through their members tab, there'll be a member tab right here, you'll be able to go ahead and connect with that person. All right, so that's a useful little trick to know. That's a useful way to get around that. Okay? Now the last thing I'd like to discuss with you guys is that weekly LinkedIn checklist. So we've talked about the 6 tools. We've talked about the appropriate LinkedIn etiquette, about how not to cold call. And the last thing we have to discuss today is this weekly LinkedIn checklist. Like I said, I know it can be very overwhelming. And so this is kind of a recommended list of things you can do here. So of course you can switch around the days, but Monday, follow some targeted companies. If you're looking to do business with a certain company or certain industry, go on LinkedIn, see if they have a company page, and go ahead and see their recent updates. Follow that page and see what they're talking about. All right, on Tuesday, go through, find and invite contacts you have recently met. Check that Find Connections feature and see if there's anyone new you want to connect with. Go through and put in all your business cards, connect with those people on LinkedIn, and accept and ignore new invitations you've received to connect. Okay, that's going to build your network out. On Wednesday, you can check the latest updates in your LinkedIn groups and on LinkedIn Pulse. So just go to your newsfeed and see what people are talking about. Go ahead and like and share and comment on any of those posts, like and share on your company page. And I know we had a question before that popped in. If you're posting something, if you're posting a status update, you'll be posting that as yourself. You'll be posting it on your personal page. The people who post as companies are usually someone in the marketing department, someone who has admin authority on the LinkedIn page, all right? So, and then Thursday, the rest of these days you can completely switch those around. But if you're going to share just one update a week, do it on Thursday, because that's when people get the most engagement on LinkedIn. That's when the most people are on LinkedIn. Oh, look, today is Thursday, and we're all on LinkedIn, so I guess it fits the trend. But if you're attending an event, if you're publishing an alert, if you read a good article, go ahead and post that. And like I said, you'll be posting that as yourself, not as the company page. And then Friday, like or comment on your contact status updates or post in one of your groups. It's an easy thing to do, and if you kind of keep up to this checklist and go through these tools, you'll really go a long way in keeping your name top of mind in your network and really finding some new people to connect with on LinkedIn, some new people to do business with. All right, so looks like we're just heading up on running out of time. So I'll answer all the rest of your questions via email. I thank you all for attending, and I do really appreciate it, and I hope that we continue to connect. I encourage you all to connect with me, to look up the other webcasts that we've done, to attend other SIFM webcasts. And my last little note is that down at the bottom of your screen, under that green resource list button, there is a webcast feedback form. So go ahead and take a minute to find that. Again, that's right in that same button as where you got the presentation. So that'll open up a PDF, and at the bottom of the PDF there's a submit button. So I encourage you to tell us what you thought of today's presentation. Now, Diane, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Well, I'd like to introduce Diane. Talk for a minute, the Executive Director of the SIFM.
Again, I'd like to thank you all at the SIFM for coming to this presentation, as well as the people from Weiser, Missouri. I wanted to do a little commercial about SIFM, and we're a great connection for people, knowledge, and trends that drive the insurance financial industry, so we fit in exactly with what's going on in LinkedIn. And our quarterly conferences are regularly ranked as the best value by our members. And in one afternoon, you can hear 5 cutting-edge presentations, earn up to 5 CPE credits, and network with industry leaders at the reception that follows each conference. And our upcoming quarterly conference will take place on June 17th at KPMG's office in New York City. And here's the lineup. We're going to have a session on federal and state legislative update, a session on cybersecurity, using technology to better underwrite insurance, the current state of property casualty insurance industry, and Solvency II. And we also have a Women of SIFM meeting coming up at FTI Consulting in New York City on I think it's the 13th of, I lost my number. in May. If you go to sifm.org, you can see exactly the information on those two conferences. Gigi, it's back to you.
Great. Well, thank you, Diane. I strongly encourage all of you to attend those events. There's a lot of great networking to be done there. And everyone, I thank you very much. I appreciate you attending today. I encourage you to fill out that webcast feedback form. Please feel free to connect with me or email me any further questions you have. And like I said, the questions I wasn't able to get to today, I'll go ahead and answer those via email. So again, thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.